All right, welcome to another episode of Rangecast. We have Davis Tiburzi here, good friend of Range, good friend, of mine. We've known him for a while. CEO and founder of Cannazip bags. He's got some product here to show us as well, and also MBA. He's a broker, business broker, a fellow business broker too, and just really dives deep into every industry he's in, and also just a wealth of knowledge and other things too. I mean, we were chatting beforehand, just of many things that you've been learning about. Yep. A lot of things going on in the world. But, I mean, just a whole bunch of different things. So happy to have you and interested in hearing what's been going on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Desmond. It's great to be here. Range has been a longtime friend and, lots of friends, I guess, rather. Mm-hmm. Spencer and, you and, the whole team here. So it's really good to be here. And, started Cannazip bags probably about a year and a half ago. And since then, we've had a pretty upward growth trajectory. And the hardest thing is probably keeping up, especially as we have all these, new emerging markets that are opening up. And it's pretty interesting just in a time of economic turmoil, right, that you still have new markets that are popping up, and it makes it, really interesting because you don't see the slowdown, even though the cannabis industry did kind of consolidate a little bit back there. But
which we'll get into, too, because I want to learn, like, you see different things than we see.
Yeah.
Because we're obviously in the marketing space, but I know there's been a lot of consolidation, especially in the early states. So, and especially as your product is in that industry, right? We can talk about what's going on there too. Yeah. I want to dive in because I didn't know it was a year and a half old. So what were you doing before Cannazip bags then?
So before I was working with Arrow doing the equipment sales, and prior to that I had a landscaping business and kind of a serial entrepreneur. So just kind of one thing after another, and if an opportunity presents itself, it's you just got to hop on it. So yeah,
and staying focused on that, which is something
that's always tough. Being an entrepreneurial mindset, it's like you just kind of want to chase everything, but it's you do have to focus and put your efforts where they need to be. So
yeah, which is huge because I mean that's something I always struggle with too. I have a very optimistic mind, which I'm trying to let me do this, let me do that, and then you end up doing nothing.
My biggest problem is I don't have three of me.
If only we had three of me. Three of me. All of us, we get a lot of stuff done.
That's for sure.
So. Talk about Cannazip bags because, I mean, I know the product, but for those who don't, what niche you're in, obviously it's bags. But
yeah, so we got a little sample bag here. You want your packaging to look this attractive, and that's kind of our hook, line, and sinker there because we have some pretty, awesome looking packaging, and yours should look that awesome too. But right now we're expanding our portfolio offerings, but where we really kind of platform ourselves is 100% USA made, no minimums on most items. We have several different product offerings like flexible packaging, shrink sleeve, boxes, labels. We're expanding into hard goods in the latter half of 2023.
Okay.
We're hiring right now. We have worked with some really, really big brands in cannabis, not all of which I can disclose, even though I wish I could. Just NDAs in place and stuff. But yeah, it's been really taken off, and we really try to cater our offerings to make it not only a one-stop shop, but the easiest packaging experience you've had. There's a lot of BS out there, a lot of jokers, a lot of guys who are just trying to make a buck, and we really want to align ourselves with the professional, go-to dispensary cannabis packaging. And, the way we have our programs tailored, it's, it doesn't really matter if you're just starting out. You have no experience. You don't even have any artwork. All you have is a name and a concept. We have an in-house design team for that. So
I was going to ask that. That's pretty awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so we can design your packaging for you, and then from there we can bring it all to life, and you can see your products right on the shelf with some, kick-ass packaging. So
that's sick.
Yeah.
What, because it's just so, I've learned this a lot in times in business and from brokering too, and just seeing different businesses. The most niche ones seem to make the most amount of money.
Yeah.
What made you get into packaging?
Yeah,
so it's just random to me.
It is, and honestly, if you would have told me a couple of years ago, hey, you're going to be owning a packaging company, I'm like, all right, that's a good one,
Yeah.
But no, I just I was selling industrial printing and finishing equipment for labels, right?
Okay.
And then we had this opportunity that kind of came up, and it's like just the demand that was coming in. I'm like, this is
worth it.
Someone's got to tap into this, right? And I think where we differentiate ourselves is, you can have 101 different packaging companies. You got Johnny's Packaging or whatever packaging, right? But we took a branded strategy where it's, hey, we're here for the cannabis industry. We come from the cannabis industry, and, we're here to stay to help you guys, right? And so that's where Cannazip was, kind of came along, and, that's where we specialize, and we know how to play there. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's it like, I guess, getting into the dispensaries, like you reach out to them, they reach out to you, they need packaging.
Yeah.
Is it specific brands too that need their packaging, or just dispensaries as a whole? What's that process like?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as like our target customer, like ideally, obviously you want to get the biggest customer you can, right?
Yeah,
so, we do like to go after like multi-state operators and, large brands with good industry presence. And yeah, it's from there, I mean, the way we have it set up though, that's not all we focus on, right? We want to capture the whole market because realistically, all these large brands in most cases started as a smaller brand.
Yep.
Right. And we've seen that with the growth in emerging markets where, new states coming online where, you have all these mom and pop shops or, even native tribe dispensaries or people are just getting into the game. They were gray market or, what New York calls them as legacy, market,
legacy.
right? Yeah.
Let's switch that up and call it legacy.
Their legacy market. Yeah, exactly.
It's a funny term for it, but.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got to keep it somewhat professional. But, a lot of these guys start there, right? And so, we scoop them up with early inception and, a really cost-effective product that's still the same quality that you're going to see with any of these MSOs and, things like that. And, we grow with them. And so that's our goal is our customers are our partners, not just people we sell to.
Which is a common theme I hear.
Yeah.
And the best part about, those who are good business people as well realize that fact.
Yeah.
You want to have a partner that you're going to continue
Right.
going on throughout the years, being able to cater to them. They help you get more clients and everything like that. So it all works out.
Yeah. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in the space, as far as like people just kind of popping up and, doing shady things or whatever. And, we try not to do that. We try to just, be someone that you can rely on. And in business, you need, partners that you can count on. And that's where we come ahead.
So I guess what new developments, I mean, we spoke a little bit. You guys are implementing new, product lines, but also technologies to help you, advance your business too.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I can't go too much into detail on that, but it's going to be, there's not too many other people doing that, what we're doing right now. And, a little teaser, it'll take the design portion, really automate things quite a bit. And we'll be debuting that sometime. It's a automated online software solution. So it'll be something we've been working on for the last 8 months now. And it took a lot of time, a lot of R&D, a lot of, just working the different angles and getting all the bugs out and stuff, but it will completely enhance and change the user experience based, above and beyond what is available for 95% of packaging companies that are out there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's exciting.
It is very exciting. I wish I could just I want to just kind of just tell you all about it, because I mean, it's
can't
like,
give everybody the secret
it's so
sauce,
close.
though.
Yeah. But coming to a city near you, mid-2023.
There we go. I guess this is a good question to ask. Being a cannabis focus, it's bags and packaging.
Right.
But have you faced any hurdles being in a state that's not legal until now? We're just now seeing it's an emerging market,
right.
but it wasn't for many years when you started.
Yeah.
So have you seen it? Did you face any hurdles? Like what were the
I think
any challenges?
The biggest hurdle that I don't know if it's necessarily a hurdle, but it's more incongruity, right? Because you have a lot of companies that are coming online and, New York State will come out with a laundry list of things that, it kind of sometimes feels like they're just shooting from the hip or throwing,
just making something just to make it more
yeah,
difficult.
like they got all these rules on a dartboard and they're just kind of throwing at what they're going to implement because they've changed them probably, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times over the past, 12 months. And the biggest drawback with that is, we try to stay on the up and up on the compliance end. So when they give you a list of this and then you put in a couple months of work and then they update, all their rules and regulations and now you have to do it again. Or, you kind of saw this with the how they were going to do the dispensaries opening where they were going to, pick your locations and fund that.
So I was going to say,
there's
a lot. It seems to be a lot of things people don't think of that they want to open a dispensary. You want to, you've been in the, I guess you say, legacy for a long time.
Yeah,
and you think now just own a business. I already owned a business for a long time. Whether you think of it as legal or not, but the compliance is a big deal. It changes all the time.
It is, yeah. And there's certain ways that you can safeguard yourself for that. I mean, anybody who's working in a regulatory compliant environment, if it's your business, you better do your due diligence to make sure, right? And so we try to alleviate ourselves of that while at the same time making sure that, we provide you with the resources needed to be able to comply, right?
Yeah.
So, you just got, you're walking a tightrope,
Yeah, and that's what a lot of new businesses are going to be doing. Right. I mean, we know how expensive, we spoke about it before, how expensive, even if you're not getting a social equity license, how just to have the means to be able to get a license.
Yeah.
They've kind of alienated a lot of us normal folk.
Little glass ceiling,
Yeah, to be able to open them. So you want to be not only you got to have the money, you stay compliant, and then they're gonna fine you if you don't. So you gotta really have some backing behind you.
Backing, and you gotta be quick, because you're seeing it on like before New York State really started to get their feet under them on everything. A lot of the reservations were taking advantage of that, and those are always my favorite sales calls, because it was just every 100 feet there's a dispensary, yeah. So you could literally walk to them, and it made it really easy. But now I think what we're starting to see is that I don't know if they're getting pressure from New York State. I haven't really dived in as to why, but we're starting to see them match a lot of the compliance protocols that New York State is setting forth, and they're starting to implement that down there too. So it is overall.
That's interesting.
Yeah, overall it's becoming a more congruent space, whether you're part of New York State or part of a nation tribe. So
yeah, okay. I guess another question I have would be, we have obviously at Range, we're partners with a lot of cannabis technologies.
Yeah.
Whether it's from the menus to social media marketing, along with the text message marketing. What are some of the coolest or most interesting technologies, maybe even useful, that you either partners with or that you see in the industry that you feel is most valuable?
That's a good question. That's actually a very good question. I think. So you've touched on them, but some of the order menus, right? I think what's been really cool too is the evolution of the delivery services, things like that, right? You have just it's all in the palm of your hand now. You know, you can really just kind of hop on there, and it's almost like you're shopping on Amazon. You know, it's just like, I'll take some Granddaddy Perp, or I'll take some, I'll take some Northern Lights. I
really spoke that much, and I want you to finish your question, but I really can't wait. Us in New York, they've been used to it in California and Nevada for so long. Right. My boy moved in, he's just like, yeah, bro, you just hop on, like you said. Yeah. They deliver it. Yeah. You can get a subscription service. They'll deliver it when you want to. Exactly. After a while, I'm like, this is nuts. We haven't even
it's almost
any
too
experience.
Easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I think, the trend that we're seeing is more automation, more or less human contact, and more of autonomy to just kind of be able to, automate that workflow solution, right, in terms of like getting your products. And, we're seeing some of this on in our industry as well with softwares that allow you to, take out the back and forth with people and kind of give everything at your fingertips. And that's kind of what our software that we're working on is, going to also help to implement too, especially on the compliance end. That is the coolest part about it.
That's nice.
Yeah. I wish I could just dive in. Yeah,
we'll have to have you back then when you can actually dive into it.
Yeah, it's on the follow-up podcast once we release it, we'll definitely dive right into it. Yeah, we'll bring a computer and we'll give it the whole showcase and stuff. Yeah.
There we go. How do you feel about the and this is just a life question. How do you feel about us getting further and further away from human contact? Technology is always going to evolve, but we're getting to a point where now you don't really have to speak to anybody ever.
Yeah, I think society's headed for a very weird place. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but it's just it's crazy.
For me, there's pros and cons, right? Like, I'm a little bit more conservative, so I like the human interaction, right? It's more personable. You form the relationships, but at the same time, there's a lot to be said about the convenience and quickness, right? Of just everything is right there in your hand. So it's kind of I hope it doesn't go in the direction I think it's going to go.
We hope not. We've seen enough movies to pray it doesn't end up like that.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, it's like, well, we're moving. We've seen iRobot. You've seen these things.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yep.
We still want to go into that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think there's, like I said, pros and cons, but ultimately I think it's going to allow companies to more rapidly increase market share, customer ease of use, user experience, competitiveness in the marketplace, selection of options, right? We're really seeing that. There's a lot of platforms that are popping up, a couple of which I met at investment conferences that have some just incredible ideas that they're bringing to life. And so I think we'll start to see those in the next couple of years.
That's sick, yeah, because I was going to ask you that too, how it works out with your business too. Because you have to be on top of finding the best, whether it's platforms or solutions.
Right.
And then it kind of, it gets rid of employees. So solutions might be expensive, but you're not paying for a employee now.
Yeah, labor is the most expensive component of any business operation.
Yep.
Under most circumstances. We face that a lot too when you're looking at like imported products that are coming from China, where labor cost is a fraction of what it is in the U.S. Yep. luckily, the shipping transit time, and those costs kind of help to offset that a little bit. But at the same time, if you're on the West Coast, I mean, it's, it can be tough to compete there, right? Because you're only a couple weeks sea freight. But at the same time, language barriers and time delays, that's really where the service and support end from a domestic supplier comes into play. And, people you can trust, where they are, they have your back, versus someone who is in a completely different legal jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Where you'll
very
have
true. Even
very little,
part,
no recourse. Like,
no.
We gain a lot of our customers like that. A lot of people who just get screwed, frankly.
Yeah.
Whether it's compliant or regulatory compliance information that is incorrect, so they can't put products on the shelves, missed delays. I mean, I've seen it time and time again where companies have tens of thousands of dollars invested into a product launch, right? And their stuff doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so, what do you do? Are you willing to take that risk, or, would you pay a little more and just make sure that everything is going to go smoothly and, you don't have sunk costs and things, go as planned?
It's amazing to think about, too, because, I mean, I also, were you on the tail end of COVID? You said a year and a half. Did you face any COVID issues?
Not so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Not so much, which is good. Would have been nice to get the ERC credit, but
yeah, me too.
But yeah, we missed that, and but actually, I'll be honest, COVID actually worked in our benefit a little bit.
Okay.
Right, because we saw a lot of congestion in West Coast ports, right? So that ships were.
That's what I was gonna ask, because I mean, it's just a matter of like everything was slowed down. We couldn't get things anywhere, so it's just all the logistics made it super hard to get the products from the other countries here. So you being in America. That
was it really played to our favor. I mean, I had customers with items that were stuck at port for 10 weeks. Ships are just sitting out, not able to get in, right? And so we saw a large influx of business from that. And luckily, since then, a lot of it has stayed because, once you work with a reputable company, it's...
once you're used to something, you're not going to switch back just because, I mean, it's cheaper, but at the same time, like you said, there's many things that can happen. You don't want it to happen again.
Yeah.
So you could have a good thing going, switch it.
Well, listen, it's all too often. Sometimes you get what you pay for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
because I was gonna say I used to do drop shipping back during COVID, because I mean everyone was like, oh, start a Shopify shop and figure out how to do Facebook ads and you make a bunch of money. Yeah, and we did pretty well. Yeah, but I mean I got burned for the first. I was ironically selling bikinis. Which was funny. I always say
I knew you had a little secret there.
So, but like the first two suppliers, like you think you're getting one thing, you get it, and you're like, this is not what I got. And
that's what it is.
Thing, never came in, so I finally found a good supplier, but spent probably $3,000 to $5,000 before I actually found the supplier that was good enough.
Right. Yeah, and that's a lot of trial and error, a lot of time lost, a lot of money invested. Right. And it's, if I bet you it would have paid off if you would have known that supplier right when you started.
Oh, it would have made way more money.
Right. Exactly. Right.
I mean, I always think about going back to that, but I don't really need to sell bikinis. But it was
where one door closes, another door opens.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly what happened. So I ended up getting opening my own social media marketing firm, because I know how to run paid ads through the drop shipping. But one thing I was going to ask you too is what are, I know Range talks about MJ BizCon and trade shows. Mm-hmm. What was it like going out to? Well, you've been to many of them. Which ones do you go to? What was it like going out to your first one, and entering that arena, being like, there's large companies, they're like just starting up.
Can I swear in here?
Yeah, I mean, it's
shitting my pants. Like, I mean, it was just being candid. I mean, it's, with any business launch, there's so many, there's a lot of experience to be had, right? And when you're first starting out, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Amen.
And so you can go in with, a bulletproof plan, only to find out that there was something that you didn't think of, and it could be damaging, right? Luckily for us, we actually landed some really massive accounts that first show, and
from the trade show.
Yes, from the very first one. Yeah, I had I say we, but we had a good but we I like to be humble, but had a great really good marketing plan, the niche, the branding aspect. I mean, we were giving these out, so these were our business cards, so customers can touch and feel the quality, right? Yeah, exactly. So they know that, hey, if you're going to work with us, you're going to get a quality product because we're going to put it right in your hands, right? It's not going to be a business card and, I wonder what the packaging looks like. It's no, here, take it. Right. Yep. And I'll tell you, it's like handing out $8 bills, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff filled in them, not just the bag. But, But so it worked out really well. So, but I would say, as far as the trade shows go, that's been one of our more effective marketing techniques.
Okay.
Because I mean, just the amount of people you can see in a show, could be, from what's going through your booth, couple hundred to a couple thousand, right?
Yep.
And those are all people who, when you have skin in the game, when you're putting money to be there, especially a show like MJ where it could be $500 for a ticket or, something like that. It's people don't go there to, just look around, right? So,
and that's a huge advantage that you have a physical product to give them, because someone like at Range, like it's a big thing. We go to the, trade shows, but ours isn't physical. Like we have to show results, and you got to believe us. So we have to have partnerships and other clients that'll vouch, and go about it that way. But you can actually physically hand them. So that's a huge advantage.
It is, yeah, and it's worked out really well for us, and that's actually kind of like our go-to now when we send out sample packs. They get, people get, a great packaging, and then it, obviously looks cool, which is big because, if you're a consumer and
it's got to be aesthetically pleasing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, just ask yourself if this is what I tell people all the time. I could take an award-winning gummy that's the best one on the planet, and I could take one that I made in my kitchen, and I could put them both on the table. And if they're not in packaging, how are you going to know which is which?
Yep.
If you don't get to taste it or touch it, right?
Yep.
So the packaging ends up selling the product. Same thing with wine. If I could have a $50,000 bottle of wine and a glass of Franzia, if you can't smell it or taste it, how are you going to know which is which?
Better.
Right. Exactly.
All day long.
So so the labels, the packaging, that's where you want to put your money.
There you go.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. So what are some of the trade shows you guys are going to now, or you're going to now? You have staff now, but
Right. So we'll be at White Label Expo May 3rd. And then we're sponsoring the Emerald Cup in California on the 13th. We have CWCB Expo June 1st in New York City. I'm sure there's a show in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. We'll probably just walk that one.
Okay.
MJ BizCon, and then there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more that'll pop up later on. So
that's huge. You guys have obviously a whole trip. You have itinerary plan for each one and going out there and making sure you're there. I mean, it's huge. It's B2B marketing.
It is.
You have to go to shows.
You really have to. Yeah. If you're not like we were saying, putting products in people's hands, building the relationships there. I mean, an email and a phone call only gets you so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, true that. Yeah. And emails really don't get you that far at all.
Exactly.
If they don't know you, emails really don't get you far.
Let's be honest. How many times you meet somebody and you're just something wasn't right about that guy, right? But if you can meet somebody and you go, that's somebody I can trust. That's someone I can count on. They got my back. That's someone I will do business with. I don't care if I have to pay a little bit more, or even a little bit less. Whatever. It's you want to work with people you like, that you trust, and you can count on. And so that's where we come in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll dive into now a little bit, because we're both in the M&A space.
Yeah.
And you have an MBA. I do not. But it's interesting learning just seeing from those. Yeah, I know. But still interesting learning from someone who does and has it. I mean, what are you seeing in the cannabis industry space and then overall? And I can speak to it too, the overall. But cannabis specifically.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts too, because you obviously want to get other perspectives. But so from what we've seen, I think Aurora Cannabis is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're getting delisted, right? Off of NASDAQ, I think they got a 30-day notice, right? So, which is crazy because they were like a titan, going to these shows. The booth size they had was just like must have been an $80,000 booth, right? But yeah, we're seeing a lot of consolidation, a lot of companies that were either over leveraged or surviving off cheap money and or investors, right? And so when the good times stopped rolling per se, right? We saw a lot of companies gobbling up other companies, helping expand market share. The guys who were diligent and made the right moves financially are the ones who are reaping the rewards now, and those who didn't were either bought up or went out.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're seeing a lot of that, and it kind of is. It's funny though, like to my point earlier, that you have these new emerging markets that are opening up. So even though you're getting this industry consolidation, you're also getting like all these small guys that are hopping in.
That's what's crazy to me.
Cool,
it is cool that you have like I said, California and Nevada and places like that.
Right.
We've been doing it for so long. Now you're seeing people getting bought up, like you said.
Yeah.
But then you have New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
Who are like just getting started.
Right. Exactly. And honestly, like I'm a free market capitalist. If you make bad business decisions, you will get punished by the market. If you make good business decisions, you'll get rewarded by the market. And anytime, in my personal opinion, when you get, government intervention to a point that becomes cumbersome, you actually, hamper the market, right? So, for example, we saw this in Washington where they did a 50% tax, right? And then people went back to the black market.
Yep.
Right? And it's so there has to be a happy medium of, how can we, I guess the best way I could sum it up is, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered, right? And if you're going to be a government hog and you're going to come in and you're going to, overstep regulation to the point where it hampers small business and hampers growth.
And you go back to doing it the way they're doing before.
Exactly, right. And
So-
and it's cool. It's a perfect example too, because you had a thriving underground industry,
Yep.
right? In many senses that had no government regulation in a sense. I'm not saying it shouldn't be regulated,
Mhm.
right? But I'm saying that
They're going to get their money. Just don't take 50%. That's a partner.
it's a fine line. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It ain't a partner because
Yeah.
they'll put you in jail.
Yeah, exactly. 50 Cent said, I'm not,
Yeah.
he moved
Yeah.
to Texas to do business because he's like, New York State,
Right.
like, they're taking half my money.
California,
Yeah.
New York State. I mean, look at San Francisco. And,
Yeah.
all these cities in LA.
And
I
it's
mean,
still
it's
not,
like,
they've gone downhill with being,
not that that's
nice out
necessarily
there.
cannabis, but at the same time,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
an
yeah.
example of, what failed government policy can do to a perfectly beautiful place, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right there on the water and everything. So
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
true, though. You want it to be advantageous for business owners, too. Like, I
Right.
get they got to get, Uncle Sam's always going to get his money.
Yeah.
That's never an issue, but,
yeah.
depending on how much you want to take.
I'll tell you, if we had palm trees and beaches, and people were actually coming to New York State versus leaving,
Mhm.
New York City being an exception,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You better have a government policy that's going to subsidize people to succeed, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do it.
Yeah, so-
Incentivize them to stay because
Yeah.
we saw a huge exodus during
We did.
COVID
Yeah.
to all the Sun Belt states. I mean, I had like
With good
several
reason.
friends who moved to North Carolina.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
so-
would love to move to Florida.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know about love to. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
It's
yes,
hot in the summer.
Florida,
Snowboards. Yeah,
Florida,
yeah.
weather-wise, yes.
Yeah.
But it's also a different planet because they have some crazy.
I kind of like it down there. Man. I'm not gonna lie. I kind
It's
of
like
like
I
it.
don't mind that.
I don't mind the freedom, like do what you want, like I don't know, that's just me.
It's too nice. Y'all live your life. I'll live mine.
Yeah.
You know?
Although it's way too hot in the summer, so I might just snowboard back and forth. But,
Yeah, that's my eventual goal is to
Yeah.
snowboard back and forth. But yeah. So we'll go into some more about the M&A space here in just a moment. But take a quick break, real quick.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So getting back into the M&A space, I mean, just from things that I've seen,
Yeah.
we have a lot of like baby boomers and that generation of now people who start those businesses in maybe the like 60s to like 80s are now retiring. So we're seeing a lot of that,
Yeah.
and a lot of our manufacturing companies, a lot of business services.
Yep.
And it's just interesting to see where the market's moving. And I'm so young in it, like I'm less than 2 years.
Right.
So like I don't know if this slowdown, it's not stopping any buyers, and maybe it's not stopping sellers either. But I don't know because I haven't seen.
It's
as much.
it made me just think of something that's kind of really interesting, and so it's the timing is so uncanny
Mm-hmm.
when you have the decline of the baby boomer era coming into retirement, but also the rise of automation and AI, right? It's just almost like, I don't want to say perfect because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, right? But it's just like it's so wild that those things are happening at the same time, right? That's almost going to like exacerbate things.
Yep.
Right. And so it's going to be really interesting. And I think what's going to happen from it is it's going to be early adopters are going to be the ones that are going to gain market share.
Mm-hmm.
And those are going to be the ones that are going to capitalize. And it's going to be unfair in a way, right? Because the advantages that you can have by implementing some of these technologies are so vast
Yeah.
with people who grew up, 20 years ago or whatever, and like I'm a 90s baby, or
Yep,
yourself
90s
as
baby
well,
too. Yep.
right? Or guys in the 80s, right? It's like, well, I mean, we remember when we had cassettes and
Yeah.
the Nokia
CD
brick,
Walkmans.
yeah, exactly.
With the
Phones that didn't
track,
crack
with
when
an
you
8-track
drop
3,
them.
I could hold like 120
Exactly.
songs on one CD
Yep,
instead of 20.
exactly. Yeah. Or, I mean, I used to have the whole thing of CDs,
Yeah,
exactly. But so now it's going to be really interesting just to see how it plays out, and I think that people really have to stay ahead of it in order to not get left behind, because it will come way quicker than they realize.
It is crazy to think about because I mean it's a wild world we live in. Because I think I read some stat, and I think I posted it one time. It's like something 44 billion companies will be sold, like baby boomer companies will be sold by like 2030 or something like that.
Yep.
That's how many they have. And then we think of that number versus how many companies will have started and be thriving from AI technology and things like that, and their cap and how much they're gonna be worth as well.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to think about it happening at the same time.
It's going to be a race to the top.
So yeah, and I don't know if what's going to happen. They're going to break things up or like to not consolidate into monopolies, because essentially there could be some. I mean, I think ChatGPT is going to be a monopoly of AI.
Like,
ChatGPT,
ChatGPT.
yeah.
And with the investment behind it too. I mean, it's like it's going to be the next, Microsoft or Amazon or whatever, right? Of
AI.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I think of like some company like ZoomInfo, who's like the monopoly of data.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much ChatGPT is just gonna have the power to buy everybody if they want
That's
to.
what I mean, right? You get so big so quick that it doesn't even matter. You know, who's there? You just gobble them up, right? It's kind of like if you ever seen like the back door of like the food industry, right? Where it's like you have the illusion of choice of 300 different companies all owned by like 8, right? Or whatever, right?
Like Disney.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy.
It is crazy. So it'll be interesting times, just the M&A space and getting into, figuring out how to navigate this market and how to navigate sellers. And I think it's interesting for us being a 90s baby to relate to the people who are older selling their businesses too.
The last real generation.
Yeah, the last real generation. Yeah. Which is also scary because I just see what's happening to the kids. And I mean, we always have people like us who, we had, I don't know where the hustle came from. It could have came later in life. Could have came from just seeing what we want and knowing what we have to go to do to get it.
Right.
But I mean, there's just a lot of, the social media has really changed people's minds and how easy they think things are to get. And in reality, the problem is some of it is. Yeah. Some of it is easy to get.
Well, that's the thing is the advantages you get with technology, the things that, like, just, take email into consideration, right? Like, before email, right? What did you do when you had to correspond with somebody?
Fax.
Yeah, or even before fax, you had to write them a letter.
Yeah.
Right? And now everything's at your fingertips. You can have, an order of magnitude more of conversations that you can in a single day or interactions or productivity, right? Versus, what you could have done way back when. Mm-hmm. And it's not really even way back when. I mean, for us, it's, maybe 10, 20 years before we were born, right?
Which is the crazy part about it.
Yeah,
even what's happened in the 20, 30 years we've been alive.
Well, that's what I want people to kind of understand is that, like, the growth of technology, right, is so exponential that, you're going to wake up one day and go, what happened? It's going to be a Minority Report, in 2035.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. I mean, maybe not that extreme, but you know what I mean?
Well, the way we're going, though, yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I was telling, I talked to my cousins, and I may have said it, I forget if I said it already in this episode, but we just have, like, an important technology right now that we are doing things, like we said, that we don't have to do, but we're doing them because we can.
Right.
And I think we need to stop that.
Yeah. Or, like, what do you mean?
Like we're it's like, oh, I've gotten so smart that we can do this.
Right. Oh,
and
I think I know what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
we're able to do it, but just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Like just because you can manipulate, like I saw the mammoth. They're bringing back the mammoth. For what? Did you not watch Jurassic Park?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Like, have you not seen enough movies to be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't take the DNA and do that
exactly.
again. Spend it on something else.
Maybe we shouldn't genetically modify most people on the planet with
or try to make robot soldiers that are able to be able to
radiation resistant. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm like, yo,
that is
someone was telling me about that. I'm like, they made actual soldiers to test against the army, like to go out there in the field.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yo, and all the soldiers, the real people beat the machine. Thankfully, they were like went underneath it, like went behind it, like did like they actually did it. But I'm like,
but in real life, I don't know. I mean, it's
well, in real life they did the test on it.
Oh, did they?
And they beat it. The 6 soldiers beat it. But I'm like, now they're just gonna make the thing smarter so they can beat the soldiers.
Right. Exactly. Well, it's like when they first came out with the chess thing, right? Watson or whatever, right? And then I think somebody beat it in the couple of first time or whatever, and then like after that it was like it's been like 20 years or something like that.
It's just it's interesting times that we're in, so we'll just continue navigating, and as you stay in your in the cannabis industry, we'll see how it evolves, and with everything getting bigger, and I mean the industry as a whole, it's just interesting to see because I mean like we said, we've seen big companies have stocks and then they IPO and then the industry changes, more compliance, things go down, and
yep.
You have to continuously change.
I think that kind of goes back to our conversation where pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered, and I think within reason the marketplace will sort out the winners and the losers, and in an environment where capital is, or at least was, free almost in a sense, right, in terms of interest rates and stuff, that companies that push the limits, are you have a lot of zombie companies, for example. I mean, there was like companies like Uber was just like losing money like it was their job, right?
Yep.
And other companies like that, I think it was like DoorDash or whatever, and they get Carvana, right, trying to corner the used car market and surviving off free money, right? And it's capitalism punishes you for making decisions like that without having the foresight of seeing what's down the road. So you want to find a fine line between growth but also being conservative in order to make sure that from a longevity standpoint you can survive.
You can survive any market.
Right, because even now we're seeing like record bankruptcies from like small businesses, right? And that's probably a little different. I'm sure COVID was the first blow, and now this is kind of the second blow, right?
Just can't hand out a bunch of free money and
Yeah.
expect when it's time to come pay it back. Like, well,
Right.
you guys shouldn't have given it to me. We can't bring it back.
Exactly.
Like-
Yeah. And so we'll have to see how that kind of plays out down the road. But it'll be interesting to see how both that and automation and AI kind of come in and tailor with that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to keep our as focused as we can on what we're doing.
Yeah.
And not to worry ourselves too much about everything. We
Yeah,
try to stay
yeah,
educated, but not worry
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
Because if we were, we'd wake up we'd be 32 and have a bunch of gray hair.
Right.
So-
Exactly. Yeah. Enjoy the moment. Try to do what you can, but at the same time, just be vigilant. And,
Yeah.
just be aware.
And stay smart about your business.
Yeah. I'm excited for what's ahead though in the cannabis space, and we have a lot of big things ahead of us still, right?
Mhm.
And this is kind of like almost a parallel to like crypto, right? In a
Yeah.
sense where you had I remember when it was Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin, and that was it.
Yep.
And now you got 20,000
Different coins.
or whatever, right? And in the same way with cannabis, right? And this is crypto pre-regulation, right?
Mhm.
And regulation still isn't quite there, but it's getting there, right? And then you'll kind of start to have this framework, right? Same thing, and I'll make this parallel with cannabis with state rules or laws versus federal legality, right?
Mhm.
California's already talking about interstate commerce and things like that. Not that they have they're the end all be all for that, but eventually what I see coming down the road is when federal legality does open up, that's really when the floodgates are going to start opening.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I agree on that.
Yeah.
Once they fail it, because even right now.
And it could be the perfect opportunity for the government to come in and screw everything up again.
Yeah.
It really could be, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Excuse me, because I see, I know Mark, our director of partnerships, was talking to one of the partners that we have, and they're having a big problem with just because it's still not federally legal, so the money you make from cannabis is still hard to put in some banks. So they have some assets frozen they can't even get because the banks are because of something that happened with that.
That's the thing.
So,
Yeah, we even had to be careful with how we kind of structured our business, right, in order to make sure that you don't fall into those pitfalls. I saw it a lot with the other industry I was in with selling the equipment, where we were dealing with a lot of cannabis companies, and there was 6-figure equipment and 7-figure equipment, and when it comes to apply for financing, if you have a weed leaf on your website, forget it, right? You're not getting financing. So you have to have the foresight to see that and try to navigate with that in mind, knowing that banking regulations aren't there, federal legality is not there, right? And you just got to be smart about it.
That's good information for people to know who are thinking about that, because it's just not you're trying to market to a certain niche.
You're trying to grow as quick as you can, but
you even have to
sometimes you
got
gotta be strategic.
Yeah. Even in Zoom Info, things simple as you can't just look up cannabis.
Right.
It's under medicine. It's under medicine. It can be under a flower shop. It can be under anything.
Yep.
That they just use because it's still not federally legal. They cannot.
That's been one of
say
our
that.
problems with even advertising on social media. We can't advertise on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google, and I've contacted
You
them.
can't do YouTube or Google.
No, because I think it's because of the prefix canna.
Oh,
Now we have a way around this.
Okay.
We have a way around this. But at the same time, it's they say that we're promoting illicit drug use, when in actuality we're promoting packaging.
Yeah.
We don't even touch. We don't distribute. We don't promote it. Whatever. We just supply the business environment with packaging, right? But even then, it's
It's iffy to them.
and that goes into the whole automation thing, right?
Yeah,
With
'cause
algorithms
they're just looking
and
for
stuff.
words.
Yeah,
They're looking for
exactly.
keys,
Exactly.
And that's it. Even not understanding the full aspect of the business, looking for the key words.
Right.
That's all they care about.
Yeah, and
So-
companies that are that large, you're talking to somebody on the bottom of the totem pole when you're on the phone
I'm
with
never
them.
talking to someone.
Right. Yeah.
Spencer told me
at
the other
this
day,
point,
we were
probably
trying to
not,
get,
yeah.
you're not. Spencer told me the other day, he was we're trying to get a GBP listing,
Yeah.
unblocked, which is to make sure if someone types in, near me,
Right.
you're showing up. He's like, can you Facebook message Google?
Yeah.
And I texted him back, I'm like, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
And you can't
Oh,
Facebook message Google. You're not getting a person.
Yeah.
You're not even getting a person to Facebook.
Unless you're a paying customer. It's and even when I was a paying customer, it takes a while.
It takes a while.
It takes a while. You really have to dig in order to get somebody on the phone.
And then the person they have, because I dealt with this with Facebook, and
Yeah.
don't ban me now. I'm not trying to get lost in the matrix, but dealing with even the people at Facebook, what they were telling me, after I took a week and a half to get a hold of somebody,
Yeah.
I knew more than they did.
Right.
So I'm you're just hiring someone to answer your prompted responses. They don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a cheap person. So these big companies, this customer service is not there.
And that's where it's probably heading.
Yeah,
For most
which
things.
we're in there because, I mean, they're just going to start
Yeah.
answering back at robots. You just can't get a person.
Exactly.
So it's a giant robot and it's talking back to you. But we won't get too cynical about that stuff. But I am excited for what Davis has coming with his company. He can't speak of everything, but we'll check back in with you and see things in a couple months. And hopefully the trade shows go well. You got a lot planned.
We should do a pre-MJ show.
Yeah, we should actually.
We should. That would be great because then we'll have our software debut by then. We can actually walk you through it and show you how innovative it is.
Awesome. I kind of want to go to MJ.
You should, man.
Just to see how it is. I mean, I've never been to a trade show, so I've never been to a cannabis trade show.
If there's one to go to, it's that one.
That's what I've heard.
Sure.
It's that one, and seeing that, and honestly being a part of the range, booth.
Being in Vegas helps, I mean.
Yeah, Vegas might help.
Personally, I'm sick of it. Honestly,
really?
I go to Vegas like 3-4 times a year for work, and I'm just like, after the second, third time, it's like,
I could go like once or twice for work. I could go once or twice. I wouldn't mind. I could see getting sick of it, but I've never been to Vegas either.
Yeah, well, if you haven't been, you know what I mean. I've probably been like 20 times, and it's just
it's hot.
It is.
Different type of heat. I mean, went to Scottsdale. Different type of heat.
It is. It is. It can be. Yeah, I remember it was like 120 degrees one day, and it was. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah. Wear your sunscreen.
But super excited. I'm definitely glad the business is going well.
Thank you.
So we'll have you back on, and it's been another good episode of Range Cast, and appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice. Peace out, guys.
Take care.
That was fucking